Neff, what's up, nephew? What's going on with you? Ned the Koala, I heard some beats. You got some shit, young boy. You got it honest, though. You got it honest. Can you hear me? Can you hear me good? Are sexual predators a protected class in America? Are sexual predators a protected class in America? That's a good question. See, because we see a lot of it. We see a bunch of these things happen on a regular basis. But, nobody ever speaks on it. Nobody ever talks about it. It gets swept under the rug. It's crazy how many people are actually affected by this, this issue. I'm trying to wait for a couple more people to come in. Who's ever watching right now. I think this may be something that may turn into a great conversation. Mercy, Thunder Movement, I see you. Hey, listen, I want y'all to participate with this particular session tonight, if you could, because this is a serious issue. You know what I mean? Sexual predators in America. Is this a protected class of people? Is this something that we are being desensitized with? We see these things happening. We see the trauma that it causes to individuals and families, and we see this stuff happening on a regular basis. And it's kind of like, why isn't nobody exposing it? Why isn't no one talking about it? Why does it get swept under the rug? Why are we not, trying to address this? Why are we not trying to create solutions? And a lot of times, this sexual predator act, these behaviors happen in our families. It happens in, the close circles of people that surround us. And it makes me disappointed because I've worked in the human services field for 12 years, 13 years. And for me to see, the children, the effects and the trauma that's sustained from, abuse, sexual abuse, mental abuse, physical abuse. But sexual abuse is something that's serious. I've never been abused myself personally. I've never been fondled, touched. I've never been molested by any man or woman per se, because women are sexual perpetrators as well. Women are sexual predators as well. And it's crazy because when you look at the definition, I got a little couple notes here that I was writing down about sexual predators. And a sexual predator, the legal definition they have here is a person who has committed a sexual violent offense, and especially one who is likely to commit more sexual offenses. And they also have in parentheses, because of a mental abnormality or a psychological disorder. The question is it a psychological disorder? Because people have been molesting children and being sexual predators for thousands of years. This is something that's been going on for thousands of years. So this is not just happening today. This has been going on for centuries, thousands and thousands of years. Different captivities in different lands around the world, countries around the world. Some people practice child rituals and different practices where children were involved. The question is, why is it being accepted? Why is it being accepted? Especially when you're some type of leader, or a person of authority, or a person that has a position of power or created finances for other individuals, it's kind of like this person gets swept under the rug. Nobody speaks on it. Like, what is it that is happening where these sexual predators are getting away with it? They're getting away with this stuff. They're given like 3 to 5 years in prison. They're not even prosecuted like fairly, because it's kind of like, depending on who it is, depending on what they do, depending on the interests of a corporation or a company. Because a lot of people don't realize, like, sexual predators and sex trafficking and all those different things goes on in America on a regular basis. It is sad. It's sad. It's sad. Because we see it happening. Especially we see these things happening in our families. That's the most heartbreaking thing to know. Is that a lot of times it's the people who are in the circles, the ones who are most entrusted by the family members. It's the fathers, it's the mothers, it's the aunts, it's the uncles. It's the pastors, it's the bishops, it's the ministers, it's the celebrity up the street, it's the the congressman, the councilman, the politician, it's the business owner up the street, it's the candy man, it's the ice cream guy, it's the slick savvy conscious brother doing this stuff. These things is happening out here. Especially, I don't know if anybody know about the African Bambaataa situation, how he, was being exposed and of being a sexual predator and a pedophile to a lot of the people in his Zulu nation at the time. And that's a serious thing. A lot of this stuff goes underground. A lot of it haven't even been publicized in such a way because some people aren't paying attention to these other things that's happening out here. And I just wanted to hear other people's opinions. I know still some people that's going to be coming in as this pick up. I just want to hear other people's opinion as well. I'm going to put my opinion on the table. But I just feel like at times we as individuals, we don't know how serious it is. We don't know how serious it is. How traumatizing it can become. I worked at a facility several years back, and I remember a girl, she was coming into the place. She didn't mess with men, and her purpose was she was being molested by her whole family. Mothers, the mother, the father, the stepmother, the stepfather, the aunts, the uncles, relatives, people in the family. It kind of was like, wow, to see this stuff and to hear these people's stories, the backstories of the people, the abuse. Sexual abuse is a serious thing. Not only is it serious, it pushes people to a limit. Some people have committed suicide. Some people have harmed themselves because they kept it in so long. I personally know people growing up that revealed to me how they were being molested or how they were raped by a close family member or a relative in the family or someone that they entrusted. It's a shame, man. It's a shame. What's happening? Why aren't these people being held accountable? Why are they being allowed to just do whatever they want to do and, still move freely and still move around? They're able to touch, fondle, disrespect, be sexually inappropriate, but still move around freely in the community, in the circle, when we all know that this person may have committed these acts, may have committed these crimes. It's a shame that the victims doesn't get the support that they deserve. It's a shame that the victims are being blamed for the perpetration and for what's happening to them. They're not choosing to be raped. They're not choosing to be sexually abused by a person that they entrusted. They're not giving themselves away to say, I want for you to touch me. Think about that, why are all these people actually doing it and getting away with it? From the guy that was supporting Subway, I forgot his name, Jared, I believe. I forgot his last name. To the Harvey Weinsteins, to the R. Kellys, to the, it seems as if when people are making money, even in Hollywood is one of those places that, it's like the hub for sexual predators. It's like the headquarters for child molestation, child sex trafficking, and all of those different things. It's serious, and this is a serious thing. This is not like, and I mean, and of course you're serious because you see more of the Catholic churches and the archdiocese coming out speaking on these things. You see a lot more cases coming forward that is exposing this, from the Sandusky's, who's been doing it for 30 years. Some of these people have been perpetrators for 30 plus years. That's terrible. It's terrible. How long are we going to let these people just go and be free without exposing them? I think that most, perpetrators should be exposed. I think that all of them should be exposed, actually. I don't think that none of them should be given, leeway or freedom in such a way where what they did was just okay. It's just a slap on the wrist. A lot of times these sentencings are slaps on the wrist. They're not really given harsh penalties. They're getting like 5 to 10 years. Simple stuff. I'm talking about sexual predators being a protected class in America. Is it? Are sexual predators a protected class in America? Why am I asking this? Because we see a lot of these people getting small, short sentences. They're getting away with these things. They've been doing it for so long that it's become normal to some people. You have organizations that support. Hey, what's up? What's up, Lisa? Thanks for joining. You have a lot of organizations that support sex trafficking. Also, I got another question. It's like is pimping sex trafficking? Is pimping, a part of being being preyed on? Because a lot of the pimping and a lot of pimps prey on women who are down and out, who need a way out, who needs some type of finances or some type of stability. A lot of women are weak-minded, those type of women who could be taken advantage of. The question is sexual predators a protected class in America? In my opinion, I believe that that's what they're becoming, because a lot of the people in positions of power, a lot of the people who hold positions of authority, a lot of celebrities, a lot of individuals who have fame and who has reverence in different communities have been allowed to sexually abuse children, have been allowed to molest kids, have been allowed to touch on people, whether they're adult or a child, because it's not always about, most sexual predators target children though. That's one thing about it. Let's keep that in mind. Whenever you come into this, if you watch it now, watch the rebroadcast later, go to the YouTube page, MHTV Network, and I have other videos as well. You can go and probably watch this over there as well. I'm going to be uploading this video. But I mean, when you think about how often this stuff happens, we kind of like look at it like it's just regular, it's just normal, A lot of people are being abused and raped and molested, and are scared to come forward because of the victim blaming and victim shaming that comes from the actual act that occurred. It's kind of like people are scared because they're going to be judged. They're going to be judged. They're going to be judged on, why was you there? Why was you wearing this? Why was you talking to this person or that person? It's kind of like, why is this being condoned? Why is it even being given, some type of slack? It's a shame. It's a shame. It's terrible. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. I was talking to my dad earlier about some things, and some things, that just doesn't come across right for me, that, in the scriptures, it speaks on, in First Kings, it speaks on that David found comfort and a young girl. How is that something that should be going on? How could a young girl, bring you comfort while you're sick? These are people that's writing this stuff that are sick-minded. Sexual predators will write things to their benefit. Sexual predators prey on anybody. It doesn't matter who it is, And then when it actually comes down to it, unless it's your family member or unless it's somebody you know personally, your response is totally different. When it's somebody else's child or children or family member, you have an opinion. And your opinion is usually negative. Your opinion is usually, well, why was he there? Why was she there? Why was she in the presence of these people? Why did she wear this? Because it's usually the man perpetrating against a young girl. It's usually a male perpetrating against a young boy. Like, what are these sexual predators? Why are they given so much, freedom to just roam? And then they get a Megan's Law that they gotta sign under and they gotta, register under. But like, what that doesn't stop people from still behaving in such a way. It's kind of like sexual predators are given, the lowest amount, like, the Bill Cosby case recently. A lot of people are up in arms because they feel like, well, that was 30 years ago and this, that, and the third. But I beg to differ. If this man was doing those things, it doesn't matter if it was 30 years ago or it was last week. He should be held accountable, because if this was your mom, your aunt, your grandmom, your sister, or somebody close to you, your response would not be, this happened 30 years ago. Your response would not be, this is old news. Your response would not be, it doesn't matter. Your response will be of concern. Your response will be of support. Your response will be of, how do we get some results from these behaviors that these people are displaying? You're not going to be like, man, fuck that. That doesn't matter. That's old school. Sexual predators are given too much freedom to just roam the streets, to just do what they want to do. And it's kind of like we can't keep allowing these things to happen, especially in our families. And if this is happening in your family, you need to speak up. If you've been a victim of sexual abuse, you need to speak up. You need to say something. Don't hold this back. Don't hold this back, because these people who are perpetrators out here, who are sexually abusing their families, their kids, their daughters, their wives, strangers out on the streets, we need to speak on it. They need to know about it. Don't hold that back. Say something. Stand up. I know people who personally came to me personally who has revealed that they've been abused sexually. And a lot of these people actually got abused by their pastors, people of esteem, people of authority, positions of power. How is this happening? How is this going on? Why is no one speaking about it? I just wanted to come across calm, because I could come across loud, aggressive, and hype, and loud, and and become very passionate about this. But I want to get my thoughts across without the anger, because I see too much of it happening. I see it happen constantly. I see, a lot of cases coming forward, from the Sandusky's to the R. Kellys to the Bill Cosby to the Harvey Weinsteins to the African Bambatas. All this stuff is happening in front of our faces, and we sweeping it under the rug. It was just last week African Bambata was going to perform up New York. Nobody was going to, make an uproar about that. Nobody was going to say anything about that. But it was known to molest the children. He was a known sexual predator for years. And it finally surfaced several years ago, maybe 2 years ago now, that he was doing this for over 30 plus years in America, in Brazil, and abroad, in different places. How is this happening? Why is it happening? Are these people protected by higher entities that we don't know about? Are these people protected because they've generated income, for corporate structures that allows them to behave in such a way? Are these people making money for other people? See, because a lot of times they're generating income for so many people. It's kind of like, we know he do this stuff. We know he do. We know that he's, into what he's into. We know that he expresses himself in such a way, or she does. But because she generates so much income for us, do we say something? Do we stop them in their tracks? Do we not speak up? And then we wait until certain movements come. The Me Too movements, the this movement, that movement, this movement, that movement, to now want to speak on it. But those movements are necessary if we're all going to stand up together as one and actually stand on it. Whoever's watching this, if you're connected to a sexual abuse coalition or any type of domestic violence coalition or organization, hit me up. Reach out to me at motivationalhealer@gmail.com. I'm going to say that again. motivationalhealer@gmail.com. You can hit me up or come to the, Instagram page, DM me or something, get in contact with me at Motivational Healer, or you can look up MH Lifestyle Brand. It'll all come up. I just wanted to say a few words. I ain't want to take too long. I just wanted to see what other people's opinion was. I see that, some people coming in, some people coming out. So I'm not going to hold this up too long. But at the same time, please, like, if you're a part of, if you've been abused, speak up. If you've been abused, speak up. It's time. It's time to expose these predators. It's time that we no longer allow predators to come into our lives and destroy our lives and go on and live their lives as if they're not destroying and causing trauma in other people's lives. I don't think that's fair. I don't think that we should continue to allow that. I think that we should cut it off where it needs to be cut off at. I think they should be no longer welcomed into our communities, especially if they're in the positions of power, especially if they hold positions of authority. Why are we allowing this stuff to happen? Why are we allowing our children to be abused and to be preyed upon without us saying anything, without us speaking on it? This is coming from me looking at TV over the last maybe 2 weeks and seeing different cases of people being sexually preyed upon. And again, it's usually children being preyed upon more than adults, in my opinion. The child sex trafficking is running rampant. Child pornography is running rampant. This stuff is a big business. This is a big business we talking about here. This is why I'm asking: are sexual predators a protected class in America? Because this is a big business. Sex trafficking, child sex trafficking, human trafficking. It's a serious issue, serious thing. But it goes underground. Nobody speaks. Nobody says anything. Nobody wants you to speak on it because it's kind of like, shh, shh, keep your mouth shut. Nobody needs to know. It's like the secret everybody knows. There's a secret that's not a secret. And that's a shame. Hotel City, what's up, man? I'm talking about, are sexual predators a protected class in America? What you think if you stay in here long enough to, unless you just chiming in, just seeing what's going on, see what what we talking about. What do you think? Are sexual predators a protected class in America? And I'm saying possibly, because a lot of times these sexual predators are part of corporate interests in different organizations that actually support pedophilia acts, that actually supports these type of actions and behaviors. They may be part of organizations and corporations where they generate so much income that a lot of this stuff gets swept under the rug, or they in positions of power, or they in positions of authority, or they have some type of celebrity status in the community. Like, I feel like, when it all boils down, why are we allowing this? A lot of times we'll have friends and family members and cousins and brothers and sisters right in our circle who's been abused You know what I mean? And yeah, absolutely we have some in high places, and this is why it's accepted. Like I was just saying before you came in, bro, that, the child pornography is a serious big billion dollar business. Child pornography, Hollywood, and the things that they doing in Hollywood, in the headquarters and the hub of child molestation is like in Hollywood. People notice these things has been happening for so long, but because again, corporate interests, money being made, money being generated, we're not gonna say nothing. You know what I mean? From entertainment executives to people in the neighborhood have been abused sexually, have been preyed upon, male and female. And a lot of times as a male, you get preyed upon, you actually don't want to speak up because it's kind of like, what do I say? How do I expose this? I'm a young boy who possibly could have refused it. And I know it was wrong. But I was young. I didn't know what was happening. What do I do? How do I tell somebody that I was being abused sexually? And I think that most people are scared to come forward because, the victim usually gets blamed. The victim is the one who's usually persecuted by the rest of the community. Why was you there? Why do you wear this? Why do you do this? Da, da, da. It's never like, well, what do we need to do? How do you need help? What do you need help with? One of my good friends was being sexually abused by somebody that she, personally gave herself to, and it's kind of like, if he gets off, then it's like, are they actually condoning this type of behavior? Because a lot of times people come forward and say that they were sexually abused and they're not being listened to. It's not being taken serious. We don't understand the trauma that comes behind somebody being sexually abused and physically abused, but sexually abused is something serious. We don't understand the trauma that comes with that. We don't understand how serious this shit is. We just look at it on the news, it goes by us. 5 minutes later, we back to living our regular life. But we never think about the trauma. We never think about our friends and family members who has been manipulated by these sexual predators. And then these sexual predators are still allowed to just roam the streets freely, are still allowed to just make bunches, hundreds of millions, and all this type of money in our communities, right in front of our faces, on TV screen, knowing that these things has happened. Cases have been settled behind the scenes. Money have been distributed to other people because these people have perpetrated them. These behaviors have been done to other people. But because we, as individuals, we want to be so politically correct nowadays, we don't want to speak up. We want to be accepted and included by everybody. We never stand up to say anything. Again, I've had friends tell me personally how they've been abused and that they were scared to say something. And if they did say something, nobody listened to them. Everybody dismissed them. And that shit ain't cool. Especially when you've been perpetrated by someone you entrusted. When somebody preyed upon you. When these sexual predators that out here, man, this stuff is real. This ain't no game. Again, I worked in the human services field for 13 years seeing this stuff. Working with adults and children. And I've seen it. Especially in the behavioral health residential treatment facilities. This shit is real. The trauma that comes from this. Seeing these young boys, being traumatized like they are. Seeing these young girls being traumatized like they are. This is a serious issue. In the black communities, in the white communities, and all the ethnic groups that's around the world. This is a serious thing. Sexual predator, that it has no color connected to that. There's not a color barrier when we talk about sexual predators. We talking about just males and females who makes decisions to create or do sexual offenses against other people. And they get like just small little, if they get caught or if they get locked up, they get 3 to 5 years. They get something small, a slap on the wrist. They don't get anything that actually changes the outcome of their life. They get something small. And that's a shame that victims of sexual abuse and sex trafficking aren't being taken serious. Like, remember, I don't know if anybody remember this, but remember the case maybe a few years back. The guy had kidnapped 3 girls, and he had them locked away in his house for maybe 8 to 10 years or something like that. He deserves to never come home, and I think he got life in prison, and that's what he deserves. If Bill Cosby did what he did, that's what he deserves. I hope they allegedly, if Bill did what he did, he deserved that. Regardless of anybody's opinion, how they look at it, this is what happens. You shouldn't be out here, doing sexual predatory acts. That shit is crazy. It's crazy. It's not good, because at the end of the day, when it all deals with a person, when they're trying to move on in life, when they're trying to find love, or when they're trying to develop a family structure, or something that's dealing with personal life changes, that person is so affected and traumatized by the events of the past that they might never say anything. They may never come forward and speak to their partner about what occurred in their life, what happened to them. It's a shame, man. It's a shame. We can't keep being and letting people just do whatever they want to us. Are sexual predators a protected class in America? That's the question. Because for the most part, these people, man, it's like I see it all the time. And it's disgusting. Especially with the Catholic churches and the archdiocese. They just now acting like they just coming around to knowing that people have been molested. Sexual predators are going through these churches and, telling us to worship God and worship this and be righteous. But behind the scenes are sexual predators. Behind the scenes are molesting children in their offices. Behind the scenes are being sexual predators to the women in their communities, to the males, the young, unsuspecting males and unsuspecting women in their communities. It's not fair. It's not fair that these victims don't have support. It's not fair that these victims of sexual abuse and, being victims of sexual predators aren't being taken serious. It's not fair to these people that we don't show them love and concern and support. It's not fair. It's just not. Because for the most part, we'll dismiss what somebody told us. And it's happened time after time. This is why a lot of people are in crisis centers. This is why a lot of people get committed to behavioral health hospitals and different things. Because this shit happens on the regular. And sometimes people aren't listening. Your ears are open, but you're not listening. You're present, but you don't care. Because it's not your family. Because it's not your sister. Because it's not your mom. It's not your grandmom. It's not your aunt. Sexual predators may be a protected class in America because we see it constantly. That a lot of these people, especially again in positions of power, celebrity status, corporate interests, and different positions and men of authority, they get off. These cases get settled. And these people go right back to whatever it is they were doing professionally. They go right back into politics. They go right back into entertainment. They go right back into whatever it is that they're doing. Business or, whatever, community building. They go right back into it as if they're not out here being sexual predators towards people. Creating sexual offenses, doing sexual offenses, thinking and contemplating on how to commit a sexual offense. So I just wanted to give this message on sexual predators and how serious it is. Sex trafficking, human trafficking. How serious it is. Take some time to research this topic. take some time to research this issue, because this issue is something real. It's not a game. It's not a game. It's too many times, and there's too many things happening day to day to day that we don't pay attention to this stuff. The trauma it causes. I think the trauma it causes is more like so many different things it could cause, but I know like post-traumatic stress disorder is one of those things. I know that decision making probably happens as well, just from talking to people who've been in sexually abusive relationships with other people. I see that the decision making changes. What they wanted to do with their personal relationship now changes because of the sexual abuse that occurred in their lives in the past or present. In their present life as an adult or as a child. It's kind of like, it takes you away from you wanting to actually find or be in or do, because your lack of trust for the person that you're about to open your heart to. Because a lot of times these perpetrators or predators are people in our circles, directly connected to us, directly connected to the families, directly connected to the families. It may be the father, it may be the mother, it may be the dad, maybe the aunt, maybe the grandma, maybe the little brother, it may be the unsuspecting cousin that comes by every once in a while. Nowadays, you got to watch out for everyone. Got to pay attention to who's around your children. Who you leaving them in rooms with? Who are you allowing them to participate in certain groups with? So who are you allowing them to travel in their cars with? What are you allowing them to watch? What are you allowing them to listen to? This is the stuff we have to think about when we talk about sexual predators, because this shit is serious. This is not no game. This is not a game. It's not a game. It's not a game, and it's to the point where, most people, again, don't take it serious until it happens to them, or someone in their families, or someone in their circle, or someone close to them. A relative, a cousin, a sister, a brother, the basic typical people that once it happens to them or it hits home, and it's like, wow, now it becomes serious. Now the issue becomes more of an interest. But when it's happening to other people and it's not affecting you directly, it's like you can care less. I don't care less. It doesn't matter. It's not my family. But when it becomes one of your family members or somebody it changes the outcome. It changes the way you look at sexual abuse, predatory, offenses that goes on. You look at it differently when it's somebody you know. So again, if anybody's connected to any organizations that's dealing with domestic violence, sexual abuse, physical abuse, supporting of victims, please reach out to me at motivationalhealer@gmail.com. Again, that's motivationalhealer@gmail.com. Motivationalhealer@gmail.com. Or come to the IG page, DM me, leave me a message at Motivational Healer, or you can find it at MH Lifestyle Brand on IG. Leave me a message, hit me up, connect with me. I'm willing to come out. I'm willing to be a part of. I'm willing to support something that's dealing with, exposing this type of behavior. I think it's disgusting. I think it's not. It shouldn't just be, given, such lightweight attention. It should be more attention and more shine put on it, because people are being abused. People are being traumatized. People are being affected by this negatively. Again, if you're a part of any organization that's dealing with that, please get with me. Hit me up. Connect with me. You can call me 267-407-5792. You can hit my phone up directly, or you can just, email me at motivationalhealer@gmail.com. Come to the Instagram page at Motivational Healer or MH Lifestyle Brand, or you can go and leave a message on the YouTube page, MHTV Network, or you can also find it on Twitter at Holistic Ike, or cousin, what's up, cousin? Uptown, Prince Uptown, what's up with you, cuz? I'm just talking about sexual predators being a protected class in America. Like, what you think about that? You know what I mean? Like, what do you think? Why are these people being, just given like so much freedom to do whatever they want? Hey man, listen man, I'm just making moves, trying to do some things, put some stuff together, stay focused. Just the basics, cousin. Trying to motivate, just trying to bring some perspective to the world. Trying to bring some perspective that I know I could bring out here to the world. And bring some enlightenment to some people, and just expose some issues and put some things on the table that we all need to talk about, that should be discussed, especially this topic of sexual predators. Like, we see it often, we hear it, we know about it, but nobody speaks on it. Nobody puts it on the table. Nobody participates in the conversation. It's like it gets swept under the rug. Nobody cares. You know what I mean? If it ain't my life, if it's not what's going on in my life, then I don't care about somebody else's life. And a lot of times, we can all fall into that type of mindset. But when it comes down to this type of thing, these people need support. I personally know victims who've been abused sexually. I'm sure you do. I'm sure most of us who may watch this video now or later know people who've been sexually abused, who've been physically abused, who've been in relationships that's dealing with that type of behavior. And that shit ain't cool, y'all. Especially children, being molested by these sexual predators. And then, this shit happens when these people are kids, and they continue to see this individual walking around, being in positions of power, leaders, spiritual leaders, and people in leadership positions, and still getting money out here, like, or still doing things as if they're not out here, perpetrating people. It's crazy that, this stuff is happening and nobody speaks on it. Nobody stands up for these victims. Again, if you connected with any of these organizations or companies, hit me up, motivationalhealer@gmail.com. Hit me up. This shit is real. This is a real issue. Sex trafficking, human trafficking, pimping, I believe, is part of like being, a sexual predator as well. As much as we in the hood try to like, make it sound like it's cool being a pimp, but pimps prey on the weak. Pimps prey on the weak women that's out here, that's willing to work for them and get out there and get abused and hit and manipulated by these people. So as much as we want to say I'm a pimp, we pimping, we doing this, and the pimps are honored in the hood. They like some of the dopest shit in the hood, being a pimp, being able to get all of the women. But these same individuals are out here manipulating these women, abusing these women, beating on them, smacking on them. How could that be cool? Inbox me your number, cousin. How could that be cool? How could this be something that's going on and nobody speaks about? Why are we up in arms because Bill Cosby got sentenced? If this is what he was doing, that's what he was doing. He deserved it. R. Kelly kept getting off. Like, how is it that he's getting off? People knew in the industry that he was manipulating kids, having sexual contact with young teenage girls when he was already in his 20s, 30s, and 40s. That's terrible. But we'll continue to do music with him. We'll continue to buy his albums. We continue to buy his records. I like R. Kelly. I like the music that this man bring out. But it's kind of like, how the hell is we still, participating and purchasing these people records and albums and allowing them to do all of these different criminal acts, sexual offenses, and, abusing these people, and we still buy their records, buy their merch, and act like it doesn't matter. And we'll even sell them out, man. I know he do this, but man, he make hits. Entertainers, people in positions of power, leaders, these people are allowed to do these things because the people, believe it or not, these corporations somewhat support this because this generates a bunch of money for them. How are we still supporting these people? How are we still, it's all about money. Absolutely, it's all about money. Money make the world go round in this society. Like, how are we even still supporting this shit? It makes me sick because every day something is happening to these people and we sweeping under the rug. We even see on the news over the last few days, I want to say over the last week, Catholic priests have finally admitted that these things has been happening in the archdiocese in their churches. They finally admitting to it. But they saying, oh, it's taking us long to come around to it because, so much going on. But this is what Romans and Greeks and Romans been doing for years, for centuries. So for them, it's regular. It's regular for them. And I'm not, no disrespect to those, but we talking about the Roman Catholic Church. This is what these people do. This is what they've been doing. How is this being allowed with nobody's pushing back? How are these victims just being abused and nobody's listening to them? We can't keep allowing this to happen and nobody's listening or paying attention. So I felt as though I wanted to do this particular live tonight and share it and upload it on different platforms, because a lot of people, this message will affect a lot of people. This message will connect to a lot of people. Hey, Gia, what's up? Sexual predators being a protected class in America. What do you think, Gia? Do you think it's becoming a protected class? And if so, why? Why do you think it's a protected class? If that's something that you even thought about. I like to say it has. I like to say it does, because it's becoming one. Because if you look at anybody in positions of power, these people get let free. They get let free. Nothing happens to them. If they get a sentence, it's 3 to 5 years or something small, like a slap on the wrist. When the person who's been affected by it, who's been traumatized by this sexual abuse, now has a lifetime of pain. How is that a trade-off? How is that a trade-off? A lifetime of pain for a person to only get 3 to 5 years? It's a man's world. It definitely is. It's very misogynistic. But at the same time, it's kind of like, how are these people being allowed to do this stuff without nobody saying nothing? Why are the victims not being listened to? Why do we allow the victims to, get unheard and not supported? Why are victims being blamed? The first thing we'll say to a young girl is, why does she have that on? He only came at her because she's wearing this. She's wearing that. Yeah, like, absolutely, cousin. Like, that's, becoming a regular thing, The alternative lifestyle, when at a time that wasn't agreed to by a lot of people. I mean, people choose to do it, but, my thing is, I'm more so talking about sexual predators. You know what I mean? Not necessarily those that choose an alternative lifestyle, because what you want to do is just personal. That has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. A person that's choosing homosexuality to, be something that they want to do, then that's on them. But I see that this society doesn't care to talk about and speak about that, whether it's normal or abnormal. So at the end of the day, it's kind of like, I don't want to tackle that. I don't want to touch that. But I mainly want to say that, a lot of the things that, these people with the alternative lifestyle, they control a lot of the platforms. And a lot of times that, these things are allowed because these platforms are controlled by predators. You feel what I'm saying? They're controlled by sexual predators. They're controlled by, the handlers, the gatekeepers to a lot of these groups, organizations, and committees, and coalitions, and associations, and departments are somewhat in that lifestyle or part of the, sexual predatorial lifestyle. There's just a lot of them. This is what they do. This is something normal. It's like for me and you, we may look at it like, what the hell? I would never allow my child to go out there. I would never, touch a child or molest or. But you got some people who look at this shit as it being regular. You got some people who look at this as being an everyday thing. You know what I mean? Some people don't look at it like it's terrible, it's bad. You got a group, I don't know, and I want y'all to research this. Whoever's watching and when y'all watch, whether it's now or later, go research a group called NAMBLA. NAMBLA. And go look it up. NAMBLA. NAMBLA. It's an organization that supports pedophilia. An organization in America that supports pedophilian acts. How could that exist? How could that even be given a sanction to exist? Exactly. What is that? Go look it up. NAMBLA. NAMBLA. North American Man and Boy Love Association. North American Man Boy Love Association. Mind you, like, this is the type of research that I be putting in that, behind the scenes, a lot of people don't know I do. I read, I research, I study, I pick up books, because this is the stuff that, to have a conversation and to speak on different things, you need to know what's going on out here. You need to be informed. You need to pay attention on what's going on around you and not allow your children to be involved in a lot of different things, because these people, these perpetrators come in so many different colors, shapes, net worths. They come looking like, silver and gold. They come looking like, God sent. But these people are perpetrators. People in your circle who you entrust, people who you may look up to, be the perpetrators. The aunts, the uncles, the moms, the dads, the grandmoms, the cousins, the brother, the sister. They can be the perpetrator. They can be the sexual predator. So you have to be careful. You have to pay attention to what's going on around with your children and what they're doing and what they're involved with. Be careful. Because a lot of the kidnappings, a lot of these people that have been kidnapped have been sold into sex trafficking. Have been sold into, child pornography circles. Have been sold into human trafficking circles that ships them around the world to become prostitutes and shoot pornography, unwillingly. This is the type of stuff that happens. And again, I'm going to repeat this. I think pimping is a form of sexual predatory acts as well. Because you target people who are weak. You target the weak-minded individuals. In the hood, we condone it. In the hood, we speak on it good, proper, like that's dope. But when you really think about it, it's terrible. It's wrong. You're preying on, you're a predator. You're preying on something, knowing that this woman is weak, knowing that this woman is in need. And it's usually males pimping men. Men pimping women. Usually, in any case. And it's kind of like when you think about it, that's sexual predatory acts, that's sexual offenses, which is why pimping is illegal. He hits the woman, he smacks the woman, he treats her like his slave. But in the hood, we talk that we pimps, we pimping, and we, like when you wouldn't want your sister being smacked up and being manipulated by another man. You wouldn't want your daughters and your mom or your grandmom or your aunt to be smacked up and used as sex tools. You wouldn't want that. I mean, think about this here. We can't take this thing so lightly as if it doesn't exist. Sexual predatory acts have been existing for thousands of years. Thousands of years, and a lot of people over here condone it because we've been desensitized. We don't understand how serious it is, what type of trauma it causes to the individual, to the victim. The victim should be supported. The victim should be the one who's shown love. The victim is the one who should be given all of the necessary tools and resources and services. The person you're telling should listen. The person that this victim is mentioning to should take it serious and go and take the next steps to find out the truth. And not look at it as an allegation. And not look at it as a lie. And not look at it as if it's, that's the pastor, you're lying. That's my dad, you're lying. That's the, the leader of the group, you're lying. No. This shit is serious. And the more we sweep sexual predator acts under the rug, the more normalized it will become in our communities. These things are happening day to day, all the time. We sweep it under the rug as if it doesn't exist. We sweep it under the rug. When it does exist, we don't speak on it. And we don't speak on it because we get judged, especially young men, young boys who has been, perpetrated against by males or older women, especially young girls who's been perpetrated against by, these predators. They're scared to come forward because people don't listen to them. People do not listen to them because they don't know the trauma it brings. They don't know what this person is sustaining deep inside. They don't understand the trauma, the post-trauma that it causes, the stress that it develops. They don't understand how serious this thing is. This shit ain't no joke. I'm going to keep repeating it. I worked in the human services field for 13, 14 years. And seeing this, and seeing the cause of trauma, and seeing how a lot of these people have been sexually abused. I even sat in with an admission one day, and the individual was talking about how she was being abused by her son's friend. How he was sexually abusing her because she has a mental condition that allows her to be, used or whatever. And I don't know how this was happening, but it's a shame. But again, these same people can commit these acts and still be in the community, can commit these acts and still be accepted by family members. They can be the leaders of a community, spiritual leaders, community leaders, and commit these acts and still be accepted by the community. I've seen it. I've seen it with my own eyes. I know people who's been perpetrated against. I know victims. Victims, more than one. And when I say victims, I mean plural. I know handfuls of victims. And you wouldn't know that they're a victim until they tell you. And you wonder why some people can't, control themselves in relationships. You wonder why some relationships fail. You wonder why some people respond to relationships in certain ways. This is a serious thing. And it's more, and the more we look at it, and when you start thinking about how it happens, who it happens to, you'll pay more attention. You'll pay more attention at what your children are watching, what your kids are actually seeing, what they're doing. Pay attention to this stuff. Because these sexual predators use the internet nowadays. They use the dark web, or they use different platforms on social media to reel kids in, to lure kids in, to have them, doing things on webcams and different things that still counts as predatory acts, sexual offenses. People are being kidnapped. People are being kidnapped to be traded into sexual predatory groups. I'm going to end it here because it's stopping me. I think that may be an hour. But I hope everybody got this message. Hope, again, if you're involved with any group that deal with domestic violence or anything like that, hit me up, motivationalhealer@gmail.com. Again, motivationalhealer@gmail.com. I hope you received this message well. Have a good evening. Peace.